All right, Panther fans, what a run we've had. We had Billy Lindsay yesterday, and today we've got Randy Moller. Just absolutely huge, big thanks, Randy, for coming out. Probably the voice in my opinion. I know Steve Goldstein calls the goals, calls the game, but if you need a perspective on the Panthers, my shot goes to Randy Moller. So thanks for coming out, bud.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. My pleasure. Anytime. Love talking hockey.
Yeah.
This is the number one Flying Fluffy, the number one podcast for everything Panthers hockey. Hey Rand, I was on YouTube yesterday. Something just possessed me to go to those Dan Livitard video where you get the Randy Moller calls. Get in my belly. I mean, every time I watch him, I crack up. And you and Goldie should switch it up one night and have you do play-by-play for old time's sake.
Yeah, I love what I do. Goldie does a great job. We have a great relationship. I think it really translates on our broadcast how close we are and what he does and what I do and complement each other. And I think the fans like it, and we have different roles and that, but collectively I think we get it done, and we certainly have a lot of fun doing it. That's for sure.
Well, we're biased, but I say it all the time. You guys are the best in the biz. Obviously, watching the NHL Network, they always use your call as opposed to the opposing team's call of the goals.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead, Eric. Take it away.
So obviously we're here to talk about this playoff series, and then I've got one question at the end about the possible next playoff series. But in terms of this one, I think the first thing, and we talked to Billy a little bit about this, I think the first thing that the fan base needs a strong voice about is, I know everybody's still worried about the defense. And last year, 6, 7, 8, 9 was Yandel and Strawman and Kierstead and Nutavara. And now our defensive depth is just not even on the same planet. So can you just give the fans a little something in terms of how much better you think this defensive unit is going to be, and how that translates to we'll be able to get more goals and have the forwards not be so worn out?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the overall defense as a unit, besides the Colorado Avalanche, the Panthers were the highest scoring points wise defensemen collectively in the NHL. That really says something. A lot of this season and a lot of the success that they had with the 58 wins, the 122 points, and the domination of 34-7 on home ice, there's so many players that had career years, and we'll get to the forwards and that, but also the defense. Brandon Montour, Uyghur, I mean Forsling, my goodness, these guys took a step up. So when I hear, and I really do respect the fans and that they're saying, well, we're not totally sold on the defense and defense. Well, you can say that, guys, about every team. The one thing that the Panthers have going for them, and why that drove the success of the 58 wins in the historical year that they had, is they had the puck a lot of the time. And that's going to be their number one priority, defensemen, is to make sure that they have control of the puck and they're not chasing the play. And they were able to accomplish that 93.4% of the time this season. When they've gotten themselves in maybe a little bit of issue is when that didn't happen. Right. And I've done a lot of research in that with Colorado, with Toronto, with Calgary. They're in the same boat where they had problems, where they lost maybe consecutive games, and you go back, you take a look at their puck possession and then the possession time or the non-possession time in their own zone. And there's a real contrast there, a real contrast. So I'm really bullish. I think the Panthers defense, and adding Ben Sherratt, he's big and strong, got the long reach, maybe doesn't go up the ice as much as some of the other defensemen that the Panthers have, but I really think he has a nice balance to his game. I'm really bullish on him. He's got the experience. He's been to the Stanley Cup Finals. He's been deep into the playoffs. That is invaluable.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the reasons why that the Panthers went out and paid the price to get him. They really believe. So as a 6-man, 7, 8-man unit, I'm very comfortable with the Florida Panthers, both offensively, obviously that with the case there, but also too defensively. They've shown that they can lock down teams. They've done it. They've done it time and time again. And there's no reason why they can't continue in the postseason.
All right. Stu, we got something?
No, I was going to say that, judging from what James and Olive posted yesterday, the practice lines have Uyghur, Ekblad, Forsling, Gudis, and Sherratt Montour. And I know Eric brought it up to Billy yesterday, and I'll bring it up to you today. Forsling was on fire once he got put with Montour. I like the left-right combo, but I like the fast movement from those two guys. And I'm wondering, why is Bruno not keeping that and putting Sherratt on with Gudis?
Well, number one, two parts that I'll answer that. Number one, Stu, don't write it in felt pen, okay? Because we know how things can change. And Andrew Burnett and his coaching staff are not shy on changing things up if they feel aren't maybe going 100% positive their way. They've proven it. And the same thing with the forwards. I mean, look at the top 2 or 3 lines. They all get juggled around certain times of the game and that. And what I'm impressed with is how much success they've had. And so that's how I'm answering it, Stu, is I don't care who Uyghur, Forsling, Gudis, Montour, Sherratt, Ekblad, Carlson, who's whatever in there, who they're playing with, they've proven that they can do the job, and the chemistry, the instant chemistry out there with whatever partner they're playing with. They've done it all season long. There's no reason why it can't happen now.
Yeah, and I think that was good that that Burnett moved people around like chess pieces.
Yep.
I like that. Like I said, I like the combo. I mean, the left-right combo. Just I think some more efficient defense, but
yeah.
So somebody had to switch off of the defense. Somebody on the stream had asked me the question, who did I think was fixing to be the Panthers playoff MVP? And my answer, because I think outside the box, I'm not thinking the bigger stars. My answer was Mason Marchment, because I feel like his style of play translates so perfectly to the playoffs. And I don't necessarily think he's going to have, a ton of goals, but I think he's going to be setting up guys left and right, because all he does is go onto the boards, win the battle, and get the puck out of there. And I think you're going to see him have a ton of even like the secondary assists. So I'm just curious, what one player do you think for the Panthers might perk up a little bit and be that guy that gets us over the hump?
Well, there's a number of reasons why the Panthers won the President's Trophy. And we all talk about, and it's easy to say, but it is true that, the Panthers have depth. Depth. It's easy because now you've got a whole umbrella. The Panthers have depth. All right, if you dive in, the Panthers have the best third line in the NHL, bar none.
Right.
Marchment, Lundell, and Reinhart.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, what right wing, third line right wing had 30 some goals like Reinhart did. Reinhart, and he had 10
32.
Goals, 32 goals and 5 in the last 4 games and 10 in the last 13 games. Where is that? I mean, that
15 power plays.
30, yeah, and 15 on the power play, 16 on the power play. I'm really bullish on that line. I think that line can be. And then what happens is when you get into matchups, so they're going up against the Washington Capitals in the first round, where you got the Kuznetsov line, you got the Backstrom line, you got the Lars Eller line, and then you got the Dowd line. Okay. If that Lundell line plays head to head against Eller or Backstrom, and that I feel that they're going to have a lot of success. They have the size, the speed, the puck possession, the smarts, the way they work together. So I'm not quite sure, Eric, if I answered that question, but I really like Marchment. My pick, if the Panthers go deep in the playoffs, who their MVP will be, it's one word: Bob.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you need goaltending. You need goaltending,
Absolutely.
and I'm really confident that Sergei Bobrovsky and that. I mean, we saw it last year. Goldie and I on that last broadcast were talking about series and that. You got Tampa Bay and Toronto. He's putting a gun to my head. Randy, who are you picking in that series? And I was trying to kind of avoid it in a certain sense, in a fun way. But the way I answered is, how can you bet, or how can you not pick a team that's got Andre Vasilevsky as your goaltender? How do you not pick that team?
Yeah.
He's the best goaltender in the world.
Yeah.
So, and we all talk, and we've all seen in the history and that, of how goaltending is so important especially in the postseason, and that. Perfect case is Tampa Bay Lightning with Andre Vasilevsky. And I kind of giggle. I kind of giggle at fans, and I love how the fans, and that's why I giggle. I don't get upset. Oh, no. Tampa Bay's, they're going to get swept in the first round. Toronto is going to do this and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's interesting, but just pump the brakes a little bit, because remember, you got this great, big, talented goaltender.
Right.
You can hardly see the net when he's in goal, and the reflexes of a cat, and that. So coming full circle, Sergei Bobrovsky, I mean, he was 13-1 in his last 14 decisions.
Jeez.
Career numbers, he was 13-4-3 on the road this year. He put up some impressive numbers. And remember, some of those comeback wins of the Panthers, remember, they were down by 2. You picked the team.
Right.
And it looks like things are not going to go their way. And all of a sudden, the opposition comes down, and Bobrovsky makes an unbelievable save. We go back down the ice, score another goal, get within 1, and we all know what happened.
And that is the exact opposite of what's been going on the last 2 years. The last 2 years, it was I kept screaming, stop giving up a goal when we're only down by 1. And we're trying to come back, because it was the opposite. We would be starting to come back, and we just need that one goal, and then Bob would give up the goal, and then you could see everybody be deflated. In terms of that, the Tampa Toronto series, in my preview, the way I put it was, if I had $100, I'm putting it on Tampa. But if somebody wants to give me the $100, I'll roll the dice and put it on Toronto. That's how impossible that series is to call.
Yeah. No,
Eric, I think
that the Panthers are very comfortable with Sergei Bobrovsky starting in goal. I know I'm very, very comfortable and bullish, and that he's just got to be good. He's got to be good. The team has to play very well in front of him, really be solid in their own zone. And then when they get the puck and they start going, Panthers were the #1 team scoring on the rush, #1 in developing scoring chances off the rush, #1 in puck possession in the offensive zone. I mean, so if you just worry about a certain part, get the save, clean up the rebound, get control, and away you go, the Panthers will be fine.
Okay.
Eric, what was that stat that Billy threw at us yesterday? Basically, what he said was the the solid scoring chances by the opposition. In other words, Bob making the big save when we needed it.
Yeah.
He was in the top 5 in the league.
Yeah. It was like the save
It's those softies that drive us nuts. Where 5-hole or an angle's not covered, or he goes down and the player shoots top shelf. Those are the ones that get us crazy.
I think too that because Bob just played that last game, and then the last 2 he didn't play at all, and got some real rest, both physically and mentally in that. I think that's very smart by the coaching staff. Not only he, but resting top players as well. Now they're fresh. I was at practice this morning, and boy, oh boy, the intensity and the pace and the way they're moving that puck around, and the way Bobrovsky and Knight were playing in goal, making the saves and that. they were pretty well oiled this morning. And, you just knock on wood that's going to continue tomorrow night right off the hop.
Yep.
Bob must feel the pressure. I mean, he's a pro, obviously, but he knows that the cup rests on his shoulder.
I don't think
I want to hear what you thought about Ekblad. How's he looking?
Well, he looked fine. He looked great. He was out there and taking some reps with Uyghur and that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't stay for Andrew Burnett's media availability, but I read on social media that he just said he's got to get cleared by the doctors medically before he can play, and that's a fair assessment. And so the big question is he going to get cleared for tomorrow, or is he going to get cleared for Thursday, or when it is? But we'll have to wait and see. That's what the excitement is around this team. But no, to answer your question, Stu, he looked great. These athletes are in such excellent physical conditioning. It's not like the old days where Red Deer used to miss 10 or 14 days, and it would take me 5 days to get the belly and get back and get into playing shape. These guys are amazing. They really take care of their bodies and how dedicated they are and that. So when they do get over there's certain injuries, whether it's a long-term or a short-term, they're ready to go right away.
Right. So
you gotta give credit to the training staff.
Oh, absolutely. They have the best.
Yep.
And
Go ahead, Eric.
So speaking of Ekblad coming back, what do you think about the 5-forward power play, and what do you think they're going to / should do in the playoffs?
That's one of the things that I jotted down, Eric, is will they go or stay with that 5-man power play with Barkov on top, or they had a lot of success with having Ekblad out there at the top as well and sliding across. I was looking back on the notes, and the Panthers, they had some struggles and a little bit of non-consistency at the start of the season. Almost up to the first half of the season with the power play. It really wasn't a factor because the Panthers were scoring so many goals 5-on-5, right?
Yeah.
So even they would win a game, but they would go 0 for 4 in the power play. It really didn't matter because they scored 6 even strength goals.
Right.
So we get in the second half or whatever, and that's when the Panthers power play really started taking off. And I think one of the reasons why was Reinhart really caught on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Huberdeau with all the assists, the power play assists, Ekblad getting the goals, and then of course Barkov and what he's able to do. I don't know if I can answer that. We'll have to wait and see. They did practice the power play a little bit. They had a couple 3 different looks that they want to use. I think that they're considering using or whatever. But I feel I'm really comfortable. Ekblad back out there. Whether it's Barkov at the top and you got Giroux and Huberdeau on the side and Bennett or Reinhart out in front, I'm really comfortable with either way that they go with. The only thing is, and you hear it on my broadcast, guys, you can move it around the outside and try and find a seam, but the way the penalty killers are now, if you can't pull them out of position, then that means push it down low, then kick it back high, and then fire the puck. There's nothing more frustrating, I think, when you have full control in the offensive zone and you've got it for 50 seconds or whatever, and you keep passing around, and then you try a seam pass and it doesn't work, yet you regain control and it goes to the outside. That's my personal thing, but these guys are so talented and they're so gifted with that puck that you want them to try those different plays down at the side of the net, out front, the bump pass, the one-timer, and that. You can't live off a power play where you just get back to the point and just blast it, because it's going to get blocked and it's going to go down. So you have to have a nice complement of each other. Try it. It's almost like playing poker. You can't bluff all the time, and yet you can't just play the best cards all the time, or else you'll never win. You've got to mix things up and get them thinking, see if you can get them moving, pull them out of position. But no doubt the Panthers have so much talent and power on and shooting ability and that on those power plays. It's going to be interesting to see the strategy that the Washington Capitals will employ to try and stop which was the 7th best power play in the NHL.
Yeah, I think for me, there's two keys, and I know Stu wants to speak up. So the two keys for me are when we're doing the 5 forwards, a minute and 10 seconds. That's it, because it's been at least twice when we're leaving those guys out there the whole time, and then Barkov's gassed at the line and the puck gets past them and we've given up shorties.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, I've noticed that this is like a collective noticing here. They're overplaying the pass when Huberdeau has the puck. So they're allowing that pass to Duclair, and you'll notice Duclair keeps getting stoned because the goalie's cheating and playing that pass in Duclair's shot. And whenever Huberdeau shoots, he's scoring, but he shoots so few that I believe the goalie's cheating to Duclair's side. And I just, like you said, there's a balance, right? You can only, hold it and fold it so many times. I would just like to see maybe 1 out of 5 passes, Huberdeau take one more shot, because I'm telling you, the goalies are cheating it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those fans that are watching in that too, and a lot of times when I talk about pulling the defenders, the penalty killers out of position, because of the ability of Jonathan Huberdeau and Barkov as well, to be able to hang on to that puck. And it almost looks like, oh no, they're getting pressured. There's pressure coming to them. A lot of times that's what they want. It's almost like, come on, come here. And then you pull them out of position. And then if they're able to execute that pass, now you've got great lanes, whether it's down the middle or coming in off the other side or whatever. So that's part of the strategy, and that it's going to be interesting to see, to really see the success that the Panthers will have on the man advantage. That the Washington Capitals, they're looking at tape. They've been looking at tape now for 3 days, and they're trying to dissect how they're going to defend that Panther power play. The same thing, guys, same thing. How the Panthers going to stop Ovechkin when the Washington gets on the power play from those one-timers from that left circle.
Yeah, they need to cheat. But Eric's right, Randy. I would say 9.5 times out of 10, Huberdeau's looking to pass, and the goalie is, he's cheating a little bit on that, our right, his left side for the one-timer. And Eric's right again. Huberdeau's scored at least 10 goals, right, Eric? With like dynamite shots.
Yeah, well, he's got such
that the goalie couldn't stop.
Accurate shot. Yeah.
So,
but you want that balance. There's a reason why Jonathan Huberdeau had 85 assists this year.
Right.
Because he set up a lot of players on that power play. And some people say, well, he's a look first. He wants a pass first. Well, he's the best passer in the NHL. He proved it. So you don't want to take that away from him. But
absolutely
you
want
to have a nice balance. You want to have a nice balance between passing and shooting and that.
That's why I want Ekblad back on the point. I mean, obviously that means Duclair coming out. You can play Ekblad 2 ways. You can play him at the right point, or you can put him in the Ovi Stamkos one-timer circle there. He's dynamite from that area. How many goals has he scored? With the egg glass.
That's what's so exciting is, they have so many weapons and so many different strategies that they can employ on the power play. And then even the second unit, with Verhaeghe and Marchman and Bennett.
Hornquist.
And Hornquist out there in front of the net, and Montour back on the point, and Forsling and that. Wow, this is going to be fun. And that. So I'm hoping that they just get a boatload of penalties. They draw a lot of penalties and that, so they can get on that power play and really establish their power play early on in this series.
Yep. So let's talk about the PK a little bit, and let's talk about the best PK. Is don't take stupid penalties and don't get goaded into things. And that's my biggest concern if we make it to the second round against the Lightning, but that's a different story. But we do have a propensity, if another team tries to get under our skin, we play with that edge. I won't mention any names, Bennett, but we play with an edge that we have a tendency to get ourselves into trouble in the most inopportune times. So what do you say?
Well, number one is I agree, there's a fine line. This team this season has stuck up for each other and defended each other that I've never seen a Panther team do before.
Yeah.
And I was really a pleasure to see that. They're not afraid that if they need to make a statement, like you mentioned, Bennett, if somebody's taken liberties to one of the players or himself or whatever, he's going to stand up. Those are the penalties usually you can kill off. I think they realize, though, whether you're playing a Washington Ovechkin, whether you're playing Tampa Bay with Stamkos, Kucherov, or whatever, that you can't, and they know that you cannot have a parade to the penalty box. It's just not a recipe for success. And that, but you got to find that fine line. The Panthers are such a, well, they're the best puck pursuit team in the league because they led with takeaways. Right. And that's the result. If you're not pursuing the puck, there's no chance you can get a takeaway, and the Panthers led the league. But you got to do it within the rules and not allow and take those like offensive zone penalties. They realize that. But the last thing is you don't want to temper their aggressiveness when they don't have the puck. Finish checks, battle hard, and that. And every once in a while, you're going to get guys going to fall down. Your stick when you're digging for the puck is going to get caught in the skates. Is going to go down. It's going to be a greasy call. Those things happen, but you want those penalties when the team is being aggressive and really pursuing the puck. The ones that hurt are the water skiing, coming back, on the back check, or out of frustration, just take your one-hand stick and slap at somebody or whatever. Right. I think the Panthers they've been very disciplined this year compared to, I watch a lot of games where teams just take so many undisciplined penalties, whatever. I think the Panthers, for the most part, have played a disciplined style, but they're going to take penalties, guys. They're not going to go in this first round, right? And the first 4 games, they're not allow Washington a power play. It's not going to happen. But you want to make sure it's taking penalties. It's those
slashes and high sticks that are not necessary. I'm curious to see how the referees are going to call the playoffs, as opposed to how they would in the regular season.
Well, the one thing, guys, is we're sitting here talking about the Panthers in the first round. Every team and all their fans are all saying the same thing. Right. Oh, we can't take those penalties. Oh my God, we can't allow Sidney Crosby on the ice. Can't allow Connor McDavid on the ice. Oh my God, we can't allow this. They're all saying the same thing. So, it's no different. No different.
Right. Well, all right. So I know during the year, Stu's biggest concern has been in terms of playing the Capitals. Has been, Tom Wilson, coming after one of our guys. And we Stu and I kind of talked about it. It's like, well, yeah, if somebody like that, not to just single him out, but I guess the question is when you've got a player like a Wilson, or even for another team, they might think of Gudas in that way. How do you set the tone before somebody takes a run at somebody and without, how do you set the tone without taking that penalty, I guess is what I'm saying. If you're in that dressing room and the Panthers are thinking, all right, we got to make sure Tom Wilson knows from the get-go not to start, coming after one of our guys, taking runs out of our guys. What do you think the strategy is there to send a message, but also not get stuck in the box?
Well, guys, the teams tried to intimidate the Florida Panthers all season long. Didn't really work, especially at home. Didn't work. 34-7 didn't work.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing when the Washington Capitals are playing the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Pittsburgh Penguins or whatever. I mean, Tom Wilson is a big, physical, aggressive player.
Sorry, they're cutting the lawn.
Stu's got to go inside.
Always get bad timing.
Anyways, and he plays a very aggressive game, and he finishes his checks and that. I don't think, and I don't know if I can answer that, Eric, because they're not going to have it on the board, whatever. Oh,
Right.
Tom Wilson, whatever. He's just another player. He's a physical player. You got to expect that he's going to finish his
Right.
check. But if you've got the puck all the time, and if he's having to maybe cross the line, breaking the rules in order to be physical, and that he's going to be sitting in the penalty box, and now
Right.
he's not effective at all.
Right.
So
So
they're not concerned about that at all. It's
so basically you're saying like that question that I asked, that's more of a fan thing that we think of ourselves, and the players really aren't looking at it that way.
no, it's just another player. Every team's got players that play a very, very physical style, and sometimes they maybe take some liberties or bend the rules a little bit or whatever. And that, I mean, if you're worried about that kind of stuff, then really you're not concentrating on the big picture. And I know the Panthers are. I mean, he's going to be physical. They've got some physical players on their lineup, Hathaway as well, and that, so they can expect that. TJ Oshie and these veteran players that like the physicality, and the same thing the Panthers have on theirs.
Yeah.
You know, Lomberg and Marchman and Bennett and Hornquist, and it goes on and on and on, especially in their defense with Gudis and that they're going to, and Uyghur, they're going to finish their checks as well. So it kind of balances itself out.
Okay.
Yeah, but Randy, Wilson's a guy that looks to hurt people. It's just, I can give you a half a dozen examples where he's kneed a guy or elbowed a guy just to, whatever. And what I was telling Eric the other day, as soon as that happens, I mean, I won't mention any of our players where they could be potential targets, but got to send him a message in game one. If he tries any of that crap, all right, so Gudis spends, 5 minutes in the sin bin for fighting. Maybe he gets an instigator penalty. Somebody needs to send a message to that guy. You don't take a run at Barkov or Huberdeau or any of our, star players. That's just my thinking, going back to old school.
Yeah, the game's much different, and it's officiated much different now, and that I don't think it's going to be an issue in this series at all. I really don't.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. Yeah. So, all right. So this series, when I was doing my preview, I'm saying we got to win in 5. We got to win in 5, and I'm curious if you share this opinion. To me, I think, and this will probably go the same for a team like a Colorado who hasn't been able to reach their potential, or Toronto, but in terms of the Panthers, you get to a game 6, you get to a game 7 with this core that we have now in the first round. Do you think the ghosts of the past, do you think they'll start holding that stick a little bit tighter, more getting a little bit concerned about, because it's that first round hump. We could all sit here and talk about wanting the cup all we want, but we got to win a round. And I get my thinking is I want to come out these first 2 games and I know it probably isn't going to happen this way, but what I would like in the optimal world is come out these 2 games and just completely blow this team out of the water and set the tone so that we win in, 5. Because if you start, get the game 6, game 7, I have a feeling that, we might start holding the sticks a little bit tight and get a little bit concerned about that first round hump.
Yeah, I mean, that's legitimate. I think the way I look at this team and that for the Panthers, if they're able to replicate the success that they've had all season long, and hey, they played well against top teams. They beat the Capitals. They beat Colorado. They've won some big games at Edmonton and they've had success against Calgary at home, and that if they're able to replicate what the success that they've had this season with their overall game, then I truly believe that they're going to be fine. And that's kind of the way I answer that question. If they're playing the way that they can and up to their potential, there shouldn't be a game 7 in this series.
Right.
There might be a game in series 2 and 3 and 4, but realistically, and that. Now, who's to say that we're not find ourselves in game 7? So one of the reasons why the Panthers worked so hard and had the third best most wins in NHL history on home ice at 34-7 for a season is then you have that safety valve of game 7 where you got it. You don't want to be going into Washington for game 7. I can tell you that. You want to be at home, and the Panthers have worked hard and deserve to have that last home game. That's what home ice advantage is. It's not only those first 2 games at home to get off to a great start, but it's also too, if you really need that game 7, that you've got it in your own backyard.
Yeah. So
last change.
Yeah.
The crowd, home cooking. There's a lot of reasons to be home for game 7. I think we should take these guys in 5. I don't see them giving us, pushback where we go 6 and 7. I'd like to see us take the first 2, take game 3 in Washington, let them win a game, bring it home, and close it out in 5.
Yeah, I have the utmost respect for Washington. I mean, this is still a majority of these guys. I'm looking at the roster right now. We're intact. This roster was intact when they won the Stanley Cup a few years. What was that? 5 years ago, I guess it was.
I think it was 15,
5 years ago.
15 or
so.
16.
Yeah, they won it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to be interested to see is who are they starting in goal?
Right.
And B, how long is that going to last? And that I was looking at the stats of Samsonov and Vanacek, their goaltenders, and it's almost similar, guys. One played 43 games, one played 42, or one played 42 or whatever appearances. One had 38 wins, one had 23 wins, one had 20 wins. Goals against average, Vanacek had a little bit better in that, but the shots, the save percentage, the time in goal, that really they really just split the whole season with both those goaltenders. That's going to be interesting for me, and we're going to really dissect it when we, in the pregame and at the start of the game on who's going to be in goal. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have not announced it yet. I've been kind of surfing the wire and social media. They haven't really said who's going to start in goal for the Caps, but either way, it's going to be interesting. The Panthers should be favored in the goaltending department.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think Samsonov, I think is going to be starting game 1. Just my, my guess.
All right. Just a couple more things for you, Randy. Andrew Burnett, Coach of the Year. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Can we make the shirts, print the hats?
You know what? And no disrespect. I mean, what Daryl Sutter did in Calgary, what Gerard Gallant has done with the Rangers. My goodness. I mean, that's just outstanding. There is a number Bednar in Colorado because of the way that they conducted themselves consistently. But what Andrew Burnett has done, and coming in what possibly could be a very difficult and catastrophic, it could have been,
right,
situation. Remember, we're all sitting here going, oh boy, now what are we going to do? The way that he conducted himself and the buy-in of the players, and they kept everything going, that was outstanding. Outstanding. And there just really wasn't any dip. And there's such a close-knit, not only the players, but the coaches and the relationships that they have with each other. My hat's off to him. And whether he wins it or not, I just think that he has to be considered as the best coach in the NHL this year. I really do. I think what he did was remarkable.
Yeah, I agree.
Not easy.
Same thing with Zito.
Yeah, same thing.
Well, the same thing. Yep. The Panthers are so solid with their hockey operations department and the coaching staff right now. That's the least of our worries. Boy, oh boy, we couldn't say that for a number of years, could we?
No,
it is, Randy, so incredible. we talk about it on every video that we do. And you're right. It's easy to say the depth of this team, but if you look at drilling down and seeing how many guys got at least 10 goals, guys that got 15 goals, guys that got 20 goals, guys got that 30 goals, and the plus minus. Randy, Could you ever imagine a Panther team having a goal differential over 100?
Yeah. No, and that's just it. I mean, you don't score 337 goals. You don't get 58 wins. You don't go at home. You don't go 34-7. You don't have 29 comeback wins. You don't have 9 multi-comeback wins in a season without having a real structure that has to come from the coaches and the buy-in of the players. And we saw that and witnessed it all season long. And I just hope that they will continue on the leadership. Hey, Alexander Barkov missed what, 5.5 weeks of the season?
Yeah.
And that you're missing your captain, and that they just kept the ship going in the right direction. And kudos to the leadership, the Hornquists and the Ekblads and the Hubertos, and now they've got some really motivated young guy, older, experienced guys like Giroux and Sherratt that have come in that are going to add to it as well, and not allow any slip and any dip in their play, and that will be the onus is here, especially in the first round.
Yep. All right.
Well, I know you're going to probably remind us at the beginning of the broadcast tomorrow, but keys to game 1, Randy.
Number 1 will be special teams, because if we can win the special teams and let's say we go 1 for 3, 1 for 4 in the power play, and they go 0 for 4 in the power play, there's a really good chance we're going to win. Number 2 is, I know it sounds repetitive, but having Claude Giroux, winning those faceoffs in the offense and the defensive zone, I think we've gotten a little bit. We don't realize the luxury that we have when he takes that draw in the faceoffs in the offensive zone on the power play. It's 95% chance we got possession of the puck.
Yeah, that's it.
So those are going to be my 2 keys for tomorrow, and it'll be probably the keys for the series as well.
Yep.
Special teams and faceoffs.
Yep. All right, Randy. Last thing, real quick. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Who do you like in the other Eastern Conference series?
I think the Tampa Bay will get by Toronto, even though Toronto's got home ice advantage. I like the Rangers in their series. I'm really, really interested to see who comes out of that Minnesota-St. Louis series out west. My God. Yeah. They're going to beat the hell out of each other.
Yes, they are.
It's going to be, I think that one's going to go 7 games, and there's going to be a lot of Band-Aids and ice packs after that. So, what am I missing? What series am I missing?
Canes and Boston. I was waiting for you to say Boston beats Carolina.
I'm concerned about Carolina's goaltending a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the slight on Boston. Boston's such a hardworking team,
right,
but they rely on that number 1 line for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Patrice Bergeron, Marchand, Panarin, or what's his name on there? They just rely on them so much that if they do have an off game or an off series, that could be very detrimental for them.
Yep.
So I got to take Carolina.
Yep. All right, Randy. Really, really appreciate you being able to take the time. I know it's getting ready to be, well, it is just busy for all of us.
Yeah. So, I'm in full research mode right now. I mean, at the bottom, you just like to know the tendencies. You like to know the different stats and that. So if you do lean on them, like I tell everybody when they ask me, when you prepare for the game, I prepare for the game. And usually I use 20% of what I have.
Right.
Because you can't force things. You've got to go along and let the game dictate how you broadcast a game.
Right.
And that. But it's always nice to have backup and to see, the Panthers are 15-3 with Claude Giroux in the lineup since you've been acquired. Won 15 of 18 games and stuff. So that stuff you need, but I'm going to concentrate on the matchups of the games and the little games that are played in and the position, the special teams and that. That's my job, and we'll have some fun.
Yep.
And we'll throw in a couple of Mollerisms every once in a while as well, because I know the
Gotta
fans.
have those. Gotta
Yep.
have those Mollerisms.
Yep.
Anyway, the fans love you, Randy.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if you ever take a look at the video after we put it up, but the comments, they love you, man. So
Well, I
thanks.
love them. I love them back, boy. I tell you, I'm most happy for them to be able to enjoy a season like we've had. But let's just keep it going, because I know there's more enjoyment
Yes.
to be had and up for grabs here. Thanks, guys, for
Yeah.
having me on.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Randy. Take care. Enjoy your day.
You good, Rand?
See you later.